Hi there. We're phoning it in this week.
This is the content that you're here to see. Oh, that burns. Oh.
This is our radical custom chop section, whatever, 1953 Chevy truck. Those of you who've been following along with this project know that we were going to be building a custom bed for this as well. And for that, I needed to find a donor vehicle. And, well, we have found a donor vehicle. Actually, we found a donor vehicle well over a month ago. And patrons of the show who support us over on Patreon, they already know about it. But I thought, seeing as how you folks have been kind enough to follow along with me on this project and watch all the stupid videos and such, I thought we'd all show you as well. I guess for what it is, it's actually kind of an interesting car, so follow me and we'll go take a look.
Oh, I'm so excited, folks. I just bought my dream car. There it is. I think it's a 1953 Pontiac. Let's just double check here, make sure. Sure it is what we think it is. Looks like it's definitely a Pontiac. I don't know what model. Looks like it says it's a Chieftain. Okay, everyone, my dream car is a 1953 Pontiac Chieftain, and we now own it. How exciting is that? Look at that. It's got no floor in it. Exactly how I like to find them. No interior, completely gutted. Somebody just parted this thing out. My boy Exhibit over at West Coast Customs just hooked me up with a brand new set of 16-inch Liberace rims. Looking pretty fly. Take a look out back here and see what we got here. More missing trim. Perfect. Last plated in 1981. Also original Saskatoon car for all those history buffs out there. Let's do a grand tour here, starting with these sick rims. Ain't nothing to it. Gangsta rap made me do it. Perfect. Alright, I can't take it anymore. Alright, well, not my first choice of wheels and tires, but it's the only GM car bolt pattern rims that I got here. And so we're gonna run these. At least now I can look at it without wanting to throw up. Quite the hot rod. I'm actually surprised these rears fit in here. There's actually still enough room in here, but I don't think you'd want to drive it like that, but they do fit. In case anybody wants to put BFGs on their 53 Pontiac. There you go. Now we'll do the proper tour here. So we'll look at this side here. Much the same as the other side. Not much to take in. Looks like it has a couple auxiliary dents that aren't on the other side, so that's always fun. And we'll take a look back here, and fortunately it does come with the original rims. So we've got these. I don't know what they'll be used for, but they're here. So that's nice. They didn't get thrown away like they often do. But this thing was gutted. Completely gutted. Headliner, all the garnish moldings, all the seat coverings and trim and door panels. Just kind of a shame. I guess, yeah, all the door handles are gone too. There's one door panel left. For some reason, they didn't take that one off. Looks okay at first, but you start poking away at it, and it still needs rockers and fender bottoms and door bottoms and floors and all the usual patches. It's pretty well had it. Probably was a savable car before somebody gutted it, but I guess now it's a parts car. I don't know what's going on here. Maybe some lead here cracking. I guess they put lead there on these cars. I'm not too familiar with them. Kind of interesting. Not really. Doesn't affect us at all, I guess. Probably some mice living in there. Oh well. Cool dash though. Still has the clock in it. Radio. All that fun stuff. Interesting. And really cool steering wheel with the horn button still intact. I like that. I do have the instrument cluster for it as well. The speedometer and all that stuff. Somebody took it out for some reason. But fortunately they left it with the car. Anyways, we'll mosey our way over to the front here. Basically, what you see here is what came with the car. It's missing quite a bit, and what's there, well, I guess it's not terrible. Over here in the stern, we can take a look in the trunk here. Somebody really butchered the bottom of this trunk up with a pry bar trying to get in. We'll just use our screwdriver and figure out the trick there. And what's in here? Looks like part of the seat. And somebody spruced it up with a little bit of Disney magic there. It's actually pretty solid back here. Not terrible at all. I guess for what it is. Yeah, somebody butchered up the bottom of this trying to get into it with a pry bar. People wreck stuff. People wreck stuff. Anyways, nothing too exciting there. And we'll take a look under the bonnet here, I suppose. The bonnet's quite beat up as well. Looks like a flathead 6-cylinder under here. Fella I got it from told me he had it running, but then the starter quit or the ignition wasn't working or something like that. He did put a new coil on it and some other trinkets and cleaned it up, I guess. I guess we can see if we can get it running at some point. There it is. Don't know much about these engines.
So that's the parts car that we're going to be using to build the custom bed for the rear of our chicken truck project there. And we're also going to be using a few other bits and pieces off of that. The front suspension there, it kind of unbolts, I guess, apparently. And back in the day, it's kind of the original Mustang 2 Pinto Camaro clip or whatever. Guys would unbolt those and put them in these trucks, so they got independent suspension, and I believe that's also the same suspension that they used in the first generation Corvettes. So we're going to be doing kind of a traditional independent suspension conversion on this, which will also lower the truck quite a bit. And yeah, and then we're using the quarter panels and I guess a portion of the rear doors to start forming the rear box on this truck. Obviously there's going to be a lot of fabrication to get it all to tie it together, but it's a good base for what we need. Now I know our American friends are probably screaming at the computer by now saying, oh, that's not a Pontiac, that's a Chevy. Well, that's actually a Canadian Pontiac, which is kind of an oddball thing. I believe the model of it is called a Pathfinder, not a Chieftain or whatever I said it was in the video. It's actually built on a Chevy frame, so it has the shorter Chevy wheelbase. The rear of the body is basically Chevy, and it's mostly a Chevy, but it has Pontiac engine, Pontiac trim, Pontiac dash. So that's, I guess, a weird Canadian only car. Probably kind of rare, I guess, in the United States, but up here they're fairly common. Now the original model that I kind of built just to, I guess, figure out what I wanted to do with this, used 1951 or 1952 Chevy quarter panels. But upon further pondering and just looking at the way this worked out, I actually think the 53 style rear quarter panels are going to work better for what we're after. They just match the shape a little better, and the one thing I didn't like when I did the model is that there's a bit too much space between the start of the swoop of the rear fender and the back of the cab area. So the 53 style quarters, they come up ahead a little bit more. I measured it out, and they're gonna come up. The swoop is gonna start a bit further ahead, so there's a little bit less dead space here. And obviously we're going to have to be doing some cutting and sectioning to get all of that to match up with this. But that's just all part of the process, I guess. It's definitely a good start rather than starting with absolutely nothing. Now, before all the keyboard jockeys who have never actually worked on an old car before start screaming at me and yelling and getting angry that I'm going to be cutting the back off that beautiful restorable car, I just wanted to say that it's not my fault. That car was advertised on Facebook Marketplace for a couple weeks before I bought it, and I'm not on Facebook. I want nothing to do with Facebook. I do not use Facebook, so I didn't see it. But my dad, he saw it, and he showed me the ad, and he got in contact with the seller and gave me the seller's contact information. So if you're looking for a scapegoat, it's my dad's fault. So anybody who wants to complain and yell and scream and whatever, I'm gonna put my dad's personal phone number down in the description of this video, and you can call him at any time of the day or night, and I'm sure he'll be very happy to listen to your grievances and tell you exactly where to go and how to get there. Sad reality is at least in this part of the world, that car did not really stand a chance of anything else happening to it other than eventually ending up in the crusher. Somebody at some point decided that they were going to restore it, or they got bored and they started taking that car apart. They stripped most of the trim, most of the interior, grill, bumper, windshield was probably broken, but it's missing anyways. So there's a lot of pieces missing from that car, and you start pricing out all those individual pieces, and suddenly that car becomes expensive. And I don't know what happened to all the pieces. My guess is that whoever started taking it apart, they passed away, and then the car went to auction, and the pieces for the car, either they got thrown away or sold separately, or either way, they're not with the car anymore. All that stuff is gone. The guy I got it from, I think, got it from the auction, and I don't know what his plan for it was. Probably would have been a savable car before it got taken apart. Actually, I wouldn't say it would be worth fully restoring, but you could put floors in it, you could go through the mechanicals and drive it as is. But the fact that all those pieces are missing now, suddenly it's not really a viable project anymore. The only way that you could actually save that car would be to buy another complete car that had all the trim and a good windshield and everything else, and then transfer those parts onto that car. But that car that we have now, it still needs floors, it still needs rocker panels, still needs door bottoms, fender bottoms, it's rusted out above the headlights and on the passenger side, and who knows what other patches. The hood is all bashed in. So, you know, if you gotta buy another car to take apart to fix that car, you might as well just fix the other car that's actually complete. At first, when I bought it, I kind of almost did feel kind of bad about what's going to be happening to it, but then I started just pricing out parts for it just to see, you know, what it would cost to buy everything individually. And a lot of those parts I'm not sure if the trim transfers over to the American Pontiacs or not. So that would be, I guess, the first problem. I found a grill on eBay for $500 US. So by the time it's shipped up here, that would probably be at least $1,000 Canadian just for the grill. And then I found the cool Pontiac hood ornament, which you can't really have a Pontiac without the cool hood ornament. That was $300 US. So again, probably $600 by the time it gets here just for that one hood ornament. And then the big thing, which I didn't even realize they were that expensive, but I priced out a windshield, and a windshield for that car is $800 Canadian, plus shipping, plus taxes. So by the time the windshield gets here, that's $1,000 just for a windshield for that car. And 2 weeks after I bought that car, another 53 Pontiac, exact same car, came up for sale, all original, never touched, nobody's ever restored it. Supposedly it ran in the last couple of years, came with a good windshield, and again, all the trim, all the parts were there. And that car was a couple $100 more than what I paid for that car out front. So whenever you have the option to buy a complete car for a couple $100 more, or even $1,000 more, buy that car. Don't buy the car that's already parted out, because at the end of the day, the car that's been parted out is going to cost you way more than the car that's complete. All the little trim, all the little pieces and bits and pieces and whatever, that stuff will just nickel and dime you to death. So I guess my advice is always buy the best car you can, and most of us can't afford to buy really nice cars. So if you can't afford to buy the best car, then at least buy a car that's complete. You know, you can build rocker panels and floor pans and cobble stuff together in that regard, but you know, try and find trim and all that stuff really adds up. And a car like that is, I guess, you know, it's not really rare around here, but it's not all that common. So you start trying to find all that trim and stuff, and you could spend years looking for that, and you're gonna pay through the nose for it. As you can see, I don't take my advice about buying cars that are good and complete. I buy garbage that is incomplete. I don't know why I'm wasting time trying to explain myself. It's my car. I'm going to do whatever I want with it. It was for sale for a couple weeks before I went and bought it, and nobody else wanted it. I showed up with cash and a way of getting it home, and now it's mine. So it was advertised online for the whole world to see. I think most people use Facebook. I'm kind of the exception of that rule. So it was out there, it was available, nobody wanted it, now it's here. Now it must die. It's going to go a long ways towards getting this custom truck project more complete, and I think most of you want to see this truck come together. I know for me, I don't really want to restore a 53 Pontiac four-door sedan. Cool car, but just not really on my bucket list. So I want to see this truck come together, as do you. So definitely a big step in the right direction there. And don't worry, I'm not going to just unceremoniously hack that thing apart for the sake of building this truck. I have a few fun little side quests planned for that car first. We're going to make sure it goes out in a blaze of glory. I want to get it running and driving, not like roadworthy, but get it running and driving at least so it can move itself around. And then I have a couple other fun little projects planned for it before we cut the back off. And even at that stage, I'm still going to make sure that I lovingly return it to its primary components with my Sawzall, you know. it's going to be a beautiful thing. You'll just have to wait and see. Deal of the week here. Just picked up a set of 4 Firestone white wall tires for the old chicken truck. I wasn't in the market for tires at the moment, but these popped up and they were a pretty smoking deal, I think. So I couldn't say no. These things are basically brand new. They still even got the little niblets on them. I don't know how much tires are where you folks live, but up here, trying to find and buy the correct tires is one of the most expensive parts of any build. And actually, when I got back, I priced these out on Coker Tire, and by the time they're shipped up here with taxes and everything, I'd be into these for around $2,500 Canadian, which is pretty insane. And these were for sale for $400 Canadian. So I saw the ad and I called the guy up, jumped in the car, and immediately headed out there before he changed his mind. Because, well, you can't even buy a set of cheap radials anymore for $400. So to buy the right tires for that price really puts us a lot further ahead on this project. This particular truck, it has to have the right tires on it. I wanted big fat white walls. It can't have modern tires on it. Not gonna happen is what I'm saying. The problem is you know, where do you find $2,500 for new tires? That's a lot of money for me. You know, $400 is still a lot of money, but you know, I couldn't pass these up. Deals come along and you got to snap them up when they're available. So this just made this whole project a lot more feasible. I know we're like miles away from needing tires, but they're only getting more expensive, and half the time they're out of stock these days. And like I said, I'm super excited about getting these. I'm not excited at all about the stupid Chinese rally wheels. Those are not going to be getting used. We're going to be running proper steel wheels with some kind of a full hubcap. I was thinking for hubcaps, 1950 to 1953 Oldsmobile full hubcaps. Not set in stone yet, and I don't have any, but that's kind of what I was thinking about using anyways. Still got a long ways off from that, and I know what you're saying. Well, if you're running full hubcaps, who cares what the rims are? Well, I care. I'm going to know that it has these modern rally wheels on it, and it's going to bug me, so we can't have that. So I do have a set of, well, I probably have a set of 15-inch rims around somewhere, the proper steel wheels for it. So yeah, and that's not a big deal, and I'm sure I can sell these rally wheels and get a couple $100 out of it. So by the time I sell these and whatever, you know, I'll be into a full set of tires for only a couple $100. So I just saved myself at least $2,000 on this project, and so that's a pretty big deal, I think. Anyways, I'm gonna ask the cats if I can store these in their house where it's nice and warm and dry, and they're not gonna get covered in overspray and dust and everything else and get ruined out here. And we'll set these aside where they're safe, and yeah, we have tires for the chicken truck. That is a huge win. I'm pretty pleased as punch, in case you haven't noticed. I don't get excited about stuff very often, but I do get excited about getting the right tires, that's for sure. These are really spoiling it for me though, but like, man, these tires are cool. You like buy supply tires? I know what you're gonna say. Kyle, you're spending hundreds of dollars on tires and parts cars now? You gone full Hollywood. You sold out. This channel is no longer relatable for the little guy. Well, thanks to all you folks watching. This project has so far been substantially more successful than I could have ever imagined. So again, a huge thank you to everyone who's been following along and supporting this project. That being said, as successful as it is, I'm not good at monetizing this whole YouTube thing. So I still don't have any money left over for buying parts for this particular vehicle. Even if it's a couple $100, it's still pretty well out of the budget. People who are successful on YouTube, they got all kinds of different schemes and ways of, making money besides just doing the videos. And, I don't know how to do that. All I know how to do is do the work and turn a camera on and then upload a video. Everything beyond that it's just beyond my levels of comprehension. So how am I able to afford to buy these parts and things? Well, unfortunately, like everything else in life, you got to be willing to shovel a lot of manure to get the things you want.
And here's the manure that we have to shovel. And I would say we're knee deep in it this time. This is the biggest piece of absolute garbage that has ever entered our garage in a while. And guy apparently wants this fixed, so that's what we're gonna do. I know it's not chicken truck, but it's again, it's how we're gonna get chicken truck parts, I guess. Unfortunately. What the hell? I can assure you it looks better on camera than it actually is.
Hopefully someday I can get to a point where I figure out how to do a better job of monetizing this YouTube thing and making it profitable, so that I don't have to take breaks from the projects that you actually want to see to do other things to pay for the projects that you actually want to see. But that's just the way it is right now. And I guess I really can't complain. The whole YouTube thing has been way more successful than I could have ever imagined, thanks to everyone watching. So that's what's going on here this week anyways.
The next step on the chicken truck is to get the hood section down. And unfortunately, once I strip the paint off this, there's a lot of old collision damage along the edges of this hood. So I have this super bashed up hood that's also been destroyed by sandblasting, but the bottom is good. So what we're going to do there is not only do we have to section the hood, but we're going to graft the top of the other hood onto this hood. So we're doing a hood splice plus a hood section. So that's what's coming up on the chicken truck. Also, just want to say a big thank you to one of our viewers, Dave. Dave's been sending me emails back and forth for a while now, keeping me up to date on his projects. He's working on a 120-year-old locomotive, so he's already pretty well the coolest guy I know. And he's also got I think a 53 Chevy panel truck, so also very cool. Anyways, he emailed me after, I think, one of the last episodes. I was complaining and whining in my usual drolling voice about how I would like to find some 1/16 silicon bronze rod for the TIG. And he emailed me and said, hey, I'd like to send you some. And I said, whoa, okay. And so he did. He actually sent me 2 pounds worth. And I said, 1 pound would probably be more than enough. So he goes ahead and sends me 2 pounds. So what a great guy. So if everybody could just say a big thank you to Dave for sending us this silicon bronze. I'm looking forward to using it. I was thinking maybe we could use it to weld on a rod for a molded in drip rail here. That might be kind of cool. Well, we'll definitely find a good use for it. And again, huge thank you to Dave. Unbelievably kind gesture there, and very much appreciated.
Anyways, that's about all we got for this episode. Like I said, we phoned it in this week. I just figured, seeing as how you folks are all a part of this project, whether you want to be or not, those of you watching, you're responsible for this project getting worked on, and I sure appreciate that. So I wanted to give everybody kind of the inside angle on what's coming up and what's going on and what we've got in the works or whatever. So there you go. That's what's happening this week, and I just wanted to say a huge thank you to everyone again for watching, and we'll see you next week, maybe? Sure.